Arriving at US for the first time in the 6th grade made me a little bit nervous. After all, I was about to step into a world that was unfamiliar for me. Yet, as soon as I met Nicky, I was anchored by his stable presence and easy humor. Luckily, Nicky was a constant in my life as we shared English classes for the next 6 years in a row, sharing jokes and experiences along the way. Reflecting on those years, I can only think about the honor it has been to watch Nicky grow into the man that he is today. Not that he needed to be even taller than me. Being raised by very similar households, we shared an understanding of each other that has allowed us to experience numerous moments together and build an incredible bond. Whether it be climbing the grueling ranks of the D team in freshman year squash, getting outsmarted by a group of middle schoolers every Wednesday, or studying how game theory applies to a particular card game from Texas, Nicky and I have done so much together. I couldn't have asked for a better friend. And so, as we look toward our future, I know we will remain close. The memories we have shared will keep us connected as we step out of high school and into our new world. With all that said, it is my honor to introduce my friend and my brother, Nicholas Nyandatiro.
The phrase, "how are you?" has never really made sense to me. The phrase has taken on a meaning that is a substitute for hi or hello, but it can feel awkward to respond with hi or hello, because the phrase, "how are you?" is still a question. So usually you would say something like, "good, and you?" In Chinese, a similar phrase says, 吃早饭没, which means, have you eaten yet? And despite meaning, how are you, and used as a greeting, and not usually literally a question about having eaten, there was always a question of why we attach our well-being to the food we eat. And more importantly, why food is valued more than just sustenance. Chinese cuisine is a collection of many local tastes and recipes, ranging from the southern collection of seafoods to the classic northern dishes like dumplings and noodles. But let me tell you about the finest dish any Chinese cuisine has to offer: Peking duck. Peking duck is like the star player of the basketball team. It doesn't really matter what else you order at the restaurant. As long as your Peking duck tastes good, it can usually compensate for the shortcomings of the side dishes. In my opinion, there's a case to be made that Peking duck is the greatest Chinese dish of all time. First, Peking duck is extremely adaptable. Generally, a complete dish consists of a slice of crispy roasted duck, carefully prepared in a precise manner, complemented by a choice of cucumbers, spring onion, and carrots, tied together with a sweet but not overpowering bean sauce, all wrapped comfortably in a pancake-like blanket. Since all the ingredients are served separately, it's up to you to decide on how to enjoy this delicacy. Perhaps you want 2 slices of duck in your wrap, or no vegetables and covered in sauce. Peking duck is also extremely good at feeding large families. The servings are designed to be shared, ideally at a table where the food can be easily passed around. Knowing that I love Peking duck this much, my trips to visit family in Canada and Hong Kong seem to always pose a question to everyone, which is, what day are we going to take Nicky to eat Peking duck? It's important enough that we set a date, book a reservation weeks in advance, and make sure that I get to eat Peking duck at least once on our trip. More importantly though, it's the perfect way to get a lot of my family in one place to spend time together. The night starts early, showing up to the restaurant at 6 or 7 o'clock, and the food arrives shortly after. Our conversation stall as the duck and its team of vegetables enter the room, and the focus turns to the main event of the evening. However, this presentation is short-lived, as a dozen members of my family quickly take care of any and all food. Conversations pick back up as my family asks about school, college plans, and life in the States. They ask about what grade I'm in, and every year they act surprised by the answer. Soon, going out for Peking duck slowly turns into going out for boba or shopping, and the conversations still flow. I look back on these nights as a highlight of each of my family visits. What if, just maybe, I have good memories of eating Peking duck, not because of how good it tastes, but because I was spending time with family who actively made sure I had the best experience possible. As a kid, when you were asked what your favorite class on the day was, for most, this question was a setup to an all-time classic punchline: lunch. Although this was not a serious answer, I think there was a lot of truth in what you might have said as a kid. Think about your favorite lunchroom moments. Maybe it's the first time you had lunch at US meeting your sponsor group. You were probably really nervous and excited to meet new people, but using the rosebud thorn conversation technique made these interactions easier. Maybe it's the picnic lunches or the house lunches at the lower school on Fridays. For the seniors, we were given the privilege of choosing our lunch seating, and maybe you've made a lot of memories with your friends. I would even consider a basic lunchroom tradition, like breaking a glass on the floor and everyone responding the way that they do, to be a part of the communal experience. If you think about your personal favorite lunchroom moments, it's a lot easier to remember a funny joke someone said, a meaningful conversation, than to remember what you were eating at that moment. So let's go back to the question, have you eaten yet? I'm still confused on how to answer it sometimes. Is it a rhetorical question or a greeting? Regardless, it makes a lot of sense how this question has evolved over time, becoming a substitute for how are you? Etymologists may disagree, but ultimately, I think this phrase found its modern meaning to emphasize the importance of the communal meal. Hopefully, this phrase serves as a reminder to be grateful for the food on your plate and even more grateful for the people you share a meal with. Thank you, good morning.
Thank you, Nicky, and thank you, Kingston. We have a number of announcements.